Hello everyone, Korvoth here, and I'm not so sure about a bunch of things right now. First off, exactly what happened in this arc? Go on, explain it to me, Lothman. Make me understand.
Well, a Zir named Modal made a play for power and control, as Zirs always do, and he might have actually succeeded were it not for a lifelong fuck-up named Alduin Athun. It's more complicated than that, though, but that's just the basics.
No, Lothrin. How did Venus and the Jagir get created? That's the important question.
That's really the same answer. Alduin used the transformation he was being forced to endure to call out to the beast that he had carried with him since his first major screw-up as a child. He'd buried it inside himself, and it was resentful of him, but it also respected him.
Why did it respect him, though? Didn't he keep it prisoner?
In a sense, yes. But he was afraid of it. How to explain this properly? The Vu monster, whatever it really was, it was powerful, and for Alduin to keep it at bay his entire life, he had to be strong in some way to do that, didn't he?
Oh, okay. So it recognized that by keeping it at bay, Alduin was someone that was at least its equal.
Sort of. Not entirely what was going on, but close enough to move forward. And that brings us to how the two were created. And that brings us back to the Scyvon revolver.
A purification device.
Exactly that, my young jackal. Exactly that. See, while Alduin was carrying it, the gun was always working slowly. And when he held it, the revolver worked faster and more efficiently. So then, when Alduin fired it, he was making the gun work even better, and, that it fixed something inside him, right? Sure? Yeah, that sounds about right. Now, this gets into the unclear territory. Likely, not for certain, just my suspicion, based on working with similar tools in the past, Alduin thought of the beast as a corrupting force in his body, mind, and spirit, and the beast probably thought of him along the same lines. The gun was removing this mental barrier between the two beings.
But why were there two of them in the end? Why were there two new creatures then? Shouldn't there have been just one after the gun was fired? I don't get it.
Modal got in the way. Both Alduin and the monster would have considered Modal to be vile, and with limited resources and time, while the Scyvon revolver was being aimed with both minds behind it. Modal was the impurity present. So he was what was scrubbed away from them.
But why two? Why two separate beings instead of one?
I'm getting to that. Alduin probably wanted to die, or at least to end in some fashion. So normally he would have been reduced or erased and the beast given full control of the remaining form. But it would have zero concept of how to live in our world. Also, there is the point of Alduin's last words. What I really feel happened was a sort of switch of ideal places. Alduin became like the beast, and the beast became like Alduin. But different, more in the fashion of what they most desired than what they already were. It's just a hypothesis. It's not concrete or anything. It's my best guess with the evidence presented.
So Alduin is definitely the Jagir. He really is that thing.
Yes. Not a real one, mind you. His version of what one might be. which explains his attachment to Thorin. He wished for more time, and that's exactly what he got. But this time as the beast the way he saw it in his own mind. A second chance, and his mental state is probably also growing and changing while living in that form, along with his body too. It's difficult to know for sure, since Alduin can't talk after his alteration.
So, more importantly, is Venos dangerous? That seems important, right?
He could be. He has the power of the beast inside him, and within Alduin's concept of hell or a place like it, we saw how powerful Alduin viewed this beast. But again, things get hazy here. Alduin perceived the beast to be more powerful than him, that's true, but he was afraid of it. And 2, he never addressed it as a part of himself. Though 3, he did keep it in check for his entire life.
Okay. So there is power in Venos, but we don't know how strong that energy is. Is the beast aware that it's Venos now? Is it trying to trick Cam and Mara?
Again, that is unclear. Though from experience, I would lean to the idea that the Scyvon revolver gave Venos some of the things that it most desired, which might be a family, people that love him and care for him, that he can bond to and love back. That sort of interaction will change you.
I know. You've changed me so much, Lothran, and I've changed you back, and it is good.
It is great, actually. The most exceedingly best thing that there has ever been.
So, what's next for the story? Lots of stuff involving Venos? I'm very curious about how he turns out.
Actually, we may have to slow down the stories for a little while. I know. It's just that this section of the missives and the transcripts is really difficult to translate, even for me. It's very heavily encoded, and also not a lot really happens. It's more or less about 3 years of Cam and Mara working to build up the shipyard, raise their family, and help unify all the people under their command. I know the gist of it off the top of my head, but for the real detailed work, I'd have to read the actual missives, and that is going to be just an insane amount of difficulty behind it.
That sounds super interesting, actually.
Well, I'm just warning you, translating this next bit will be very difficult, and we'll definitely have to slow down our story production to get it right.
Man. Lothran, you're killing me. Makes me a bit sad. But we have to do the stories justice, Lothran. We gotta do this right. So if it means going slow, then that's what we gotta do.
Good, because we'll also be changing the name of the series.
What? What do you mean?
It's okay, this is a natural turning point for this story. We're moving from Fleet into Noviri.
Oh, so Cam finally solidifies his own legacy by stamping his name right on it. Right on it. Just stamps it right on its forehead. This is mine.
Not quite. That name was something that his people voted on to rename Strife 1 into something that they can consider home. And it's the establishment of their city on Noviri, called oddly enough, Legacy, that forges the first permanent settlement within the Gagari system. A major milestone, one might say.
Oh man, that is spicy. You're providing me with so much juicy knowledge right now. Okay. Gotta ask the right sort of question next. Okay, calm down. Alright, I got it. What does Cam do next?
2 major things. 2 very important tasks. First, he sets up a school. He already has the first part of it in place, but now he opens it to everyone, especially making it mandatory enrollment for all children, already on or moving on to Noviri. He felt guilty about what happened to Thorin, and wants a place he can feel pride in when his sons and daughters come of age. So he sets up a school called Rygar, or Trials in Jackal. It's very important to all future stories. Trust me.
And the second thing? What's the second thing? You can't just leave me hanging, Lothrin. You gotta tell me this stuff. It's gonna blow my mind up. Just tell me already. Come on. Come on.
Cam begins really focusing on large-scale warship production. You've already done a bunch of research on that Korvoth class he's producing at the time. But even those heights of his genius being witnessed, you have no idea what Cam Novir is capable of. You've seen nothing so far.
Like what? He churns out a bunch of the crosshead Corvettes? Those, for people listening and they're not sure what they are, those are the types of ships that Cam is working on at the time that I'm doing all this research on. And there's a lot of research to do on them. Just trust me on that one.
Yes, and so much more after that. In the first year, he produces 10 crossheads, and those ships start doing the impossible, bringing the herd against the Sildarum, and actually gaining back ground. The first time any faction or race, including even the Archivists themselves, have gained back territory won by the Sildarum. And Cam does more, like inventing 3 more classes of ships that make the Sildarum begin to question their strategies. Cam is a maddeningly creative technical mind, one that I'd never want to cross paths with in battle.
Okay, I think we're done here. If you keep talking, I don't even know how to process all that you've already told me. We have to end this and get back to work. We got difficult tasks ahead of us. After all, there's work to be done. Work to be done, Lothrin. Work to be done.
I guess that's it for now, folks. You heard my young jackal Korvoth. There's work to be done. As always, good night and good luck, and don't forget to stay safe out there.